When the tornado tore through our neighborhood, Karen's house was gone in minutes, and the siren she'd spent months trying to ban was the only thing still standing. She used to call it the neighborhood nuisance. That night, it was the only thing screaming louder than the wind. I never thought retirement would turn into a war with a homeowners association. After 35 years as a meteorological engineer working with FEMA, studying storm data crawling through wreckage, I moved to a quiet neighborhood in eastern Oklahoma called Linen Trail. It looked peaceful, almost too perfect. Trimmed lawns, pastel mailboxes, and neighbors who waved from a safe distance. I thought maybe I could finally enjoy some silence. Turns out, silence can be dangerous. I bought a corner house with a wide backyard, perfect for a small weather tower, a radar dish, and one piece of equipment I couldn't live without: a personal tornado siren I had salvaged and rebuilt myself. It wasn't some huge, ugly monster. It was precise, tuned to go off only when specific velocity patterns appeared within a 2-mile radius. It wasn't for show. It was for safety. The first time I ran a test barely louder than a car horn, I stood there listening to that soft wail echo across the grass, and for the first time in years, I felt peace. Not because I controlled the weather, but because I knew I could protect people from it. But that peace didn't last long. A letter showed up taped to my door, sealed in a plastic sleeve with gold-trimmed HOA stationery. Unauthorized mechanical structure. Must be removed within 7 days to maintain neighborhood aesthetic standards. Signed, Karen Mulligan, HOA President. I actually laughed. I thought it was a misunderstanding. I called the number listed, left a polite message explaining what it was, even attached my FEMA credentials, and offered to give a safety talk at the next meeting. 3 days later, she showed up. I'll never forget that moment, her knocking like she owned the place, her sharp perfume hitting before her words did. Mid-50s, perfect bob haircut, leather folder tucked under one arm like she was prosecuting me for murder. "That needs to go," she said, pointing over my fence. "It's creating panic." "It's not even active yet," I told her. "It's a siren, Mr. Bailey," she cut in, stressing siren like it was a curse word. "Our community values tranquility. You can't just have that blaring and upsetting children and pets every month." I kept my voice calm. "That's a test cycle, ma'am. It's quieter than a garbage truck." "We didn't approve it," she snapped, flipping through papers. "Our bylaws prohibit any visible utility equipment not authorized by the board." That was the first time I felt the tension in my chest, the kind that comes when someone talks down to you like you're stupid. "That siren could save lives," I said. "We have city sirens," she replied. "We haven't had a tornado in 6 years." I could have told her that 6 years meant nothing in Oklahoma, that weather doesn't care about statistics, but I held back. "Then I'll bring it up at the next HOA meeting." She smiled, that thin, perfect smile. "Do that. But you'll still be fined if it's not gone by Tuesday." By the time the meeting rolled around, my name was already on their agenda. Karen stood at the front of the clubhouse blazer, pressed voice sweet as poison. "A homeowner has installed an industrial-grade siren without board approval," she said. I stood. "It's not industrial. It's a short-range emergency alert system designed for residential use. I have documentation." She leaned into the mic. "With all due respect, you're not in charge of neighborhood safety." I felt 30 pairs of eyes on me. City sirens can be delayed by a minute. That minute could be the difference between life and death. Someone near the front said I barely heard it. "It's not that loud." Karen ignored her. "We'll now vote to enforce the removal order." I stared at her. "Then let the record show I'm filing a formal objection. I'll take it to the state emergency office if I have to." Her eyes narrowed. "Then I suggest you contact a lawyer." And that was how it began. The next few weeks were hell. Violation notices, threats of daily fines. Someone egged my siren pole. I started to wonder if I'd made a mistake. Maybe I really was overreacting, just another old man trying to relive his glory days. But that doubt didn't last long. I called a friend in the county emergency office. He came by, inspected the setup, and said, "Noah, you're good. HOA can't touch this. You're within your rights." That night I sat at my desk, surrounded by papers, half angry, half exhausted. I could either give up or fight back the only way I knew, by being smarter than them. I hired a lawyer, Rebecca Mason, sharp, fearless, and very familiar with HOA abuse. She read my case file and said, "They're bluffing. But if they push, we push harder." We filed a cease and desist letter warning them of harassment and interference. Then I called in an old colleague, Darius Regional Disaster Response Coordinator, to run a full inspection. He confirmed my readings were perfect, no noise violations, fully compliant. His report even praised it as a model for suburban preparedness. I printed everything, sent copies to the HOA, the city, the county hell. I even mailed one to a local journalist. Karen's next move. She called a special meeting to address threats to neighborhood tranquility. Translation: a witch hunt. I showed up anyway. The air was thick with judgment. People whispered as I walked in. Karen took the mic again. "His siren scares our children. It feels like we're living in a war zone." I stepped forward. "You're not voting on noise tonight. You're voting on whether safety should be silenced because it makes you uncomfortable." For a second, no one spoke. Then Karen smiled, victorious. The board voted 6-1 in her favor. That night, as I reinforced the siren's base bolts, I felt the air change warm wind out of the south wrong for that season. A gut feeling I hadn't had in years twisted deep inside me. I checked the radar, a dry line forming over western counties, pressure dropping fast. And then came the email from the HOA. Residents are advised to ignore any non-official alarms. Ignore my siren. I stared at the screen, disbelief burning into rage. They weren't just ignorant now, they were dangerous. The next afternoon the air went still, the kind of still that makes your skin crawl. Birds stopped singing. The sky took on that greenish tint every storm chaser knows too well. By 4 p.m. my instruments lit up, rotational velocity spiking. I called Darius. "You seeing this?" "Yeah," he said, "but the state's holding off on a warning. They'll be too late." I ran outside, the sky boiling overhead. My hand hovered over the manual trigger. For a moment I hesitated. If I sounded it, HOA fines would triple, maybe even a lawsuit. I almost walked away. Almost. But then I remembered Greensburg, Kansas, the night an entire town vanished because the warning came 60 seconds too late. I hit the button. The siren wailed low, rising alive. Dogs barked. Kids screamed. Doors opened. Across the street, Karen burst out of her house, phone in hand, pointing at me like I'd just declared war. She shouted something, but the wind swallowed her voice. And then the clouds twisted. A gray funnel dropped from the sky, fast, furious, a ghost spinning straight toward us. I shouted, "Karen, get inside." She froze, staring. I ran across the street, grabbed her arm, and pulled her toward my house as debris started pelting down. We made it into the storm shelter seconds before the tornado hit. The sound was like a freight train roaring through concrete. The lights flickered, then died. Karen sat in the corner, trembling, clutching her phone like it could save her. Above us, the world ripped apart. When the silence finally came, it didn't feel real. I pushed open the hatch. The air smelled like wet dirt and insulation. Half my roof was gone. My radar dish lay crumpled in the yard. But my siren still stood. Across the street, Karen's house was gone. The entire back half torn away, her perfect roses flattened into mud. She just stood there, silent, shaking. Within an hour, fire trucks and paramedics arrived. People crawled out of basements, dazed but alive. One firefighter jogged over, covered in dust. "That siren of yours gave folks a head start," he said. "A minute saved lives tonight." Karen didn't say anything at first. She just kept looking at what used to be her home. Later, when the reporters showed up, one of them asked me, "Sir, you were the one who sounded the first alarm, right?" I looked around, neighbors nodding, grateful. Karen watching from the curb, her face pale. "I'm just glad people are safe," I said. That night, as crews cleared debris, Karen approached me. No blazer, no folder, just a woman who'd lost everything. "I was wrong," she whispered. "About all of it." I didn't answer. I didn't need to. A week later, the HOA board dissolved under community pressure. Karen resigned. The new board voted unanimously to recognize my system as the official neighborhood warning siren. They even installed a plaque at its base, in honor of preparedness. Karen never tried to lead again. Sometimes she'd drop by quietly with cookies or coffee, helping with the new safety committee. She'd stand under that siren eyes distant and say, "I thought I was protecting people." Turns out I was protecting my ego. I never held it against her, because the truth is, without her, none of them would have learned what danger really looks like. I still live on that corner lot. The siren still stands tall behind my garage, steady and silent until it's needed. And every time the wind shifts wrong, I find myself glancing toward the sky, waiting, listening. Not for fear, but for respect. Because sometimes doing the right thing means standing alone against the noise and trusting that when the storm finally comes, the truth will be the only thing left standing.